Ladies and gentlemen, there will be lots of you here at the moment who know exactly who our next speaker is. If you haven't heard him before, trust me, you are in for a rare treat. He makes me sweat every time we speak because the chances of him finishing on time are vanishingly small. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Professor Bill Buchanan.
So I saw this today, and I think just take the time to read that. I don't think I've saw anything that I can think about in my whole life that really sums up everything. This is my first presentation on quantum computers. So I'd like you, if it's bad, it's experience, okay? You've just experienced a bad quantum computing lecture. So well done. And I will have experienced it, and I will be a stronger person for it. You probably won't, but I will, okay? I believe in this. You should never regret anything in your life. It's all good, okay? We make mistakes, but we learn, hopefully. So, I'm going to, it's different, it's strange, it's weird, it's science fiction, it's Star Trek, it's Space Oddity, who knows, it's quantum computers. Who knows when they will arrive, but my goodness, when they arrive, we are stuffed. Don't quote me on that one. It's not a professorial quote, we are stuffed, but we are, and I'll try and explain it, but also quantum computers are our savior. I'll show that in a little minute. So let's do some Crypto 101. Okay, I'm a professor and I want to teach you something, okay? So it's just like being back in university because we are in a university. I've got my Bob and Alice t-shirt on here, hopefully. Sorry about that. We'll do a little bit of crypto, just so that everybody is on the same page. Because I don't think everybody knows everything about these horrible little things. Do you know about these? Oh, they're scary, aren't they? They can bring a cloud down in an instance. And Microsoft, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a digital certificate. Do we have to update that for Azure? Yes. Let's bring the whole cloud down for a day, and let's bring the system down. Okay? So I don't want you to have a cold sweat, but these things exist. Okay? Who understands digital certificates here? Stick your hand up. It's okay. Oh, yeah, hello. Come on, come down. Come down. Come on. You can be Alice for today. Okay? They just happen to be the fundamental thing that makes the internet work and trust. They're quite important. Without these, we'd all be stuffed because you'd be connecting to bad sites. And if it was for Microsoft, these probably wouldn't exist in the same form they are. Good for Google. They got Chrome to adopt HTTPS, so these guys exist. Okay? I should never do this. Why should I never do this? Why is that wrong? Can anybody see what I've done wrong here? I've exposed my private key. Never expose your private key. So you can see I've spent a lot of money on this presentation. I was happily 3D printing, laser printing away at the weekend, and it's all set up. Okay, so thank you very much to Ray and Pete. I've been there since the start in Holyrood, and with yourself. You'll see yourself in there a few times. I think this is my magic wand in the second Crypto Wars. It's now the third Crypto Wars, and I don't know if in the UK, the UK is trying to break encryption with a magic wand. So that was my wand from before. So it's always been great. And I presented, and here's Theresa May. That's really good. And I used to take my doll along. There's Kayla at the top there, and the middle. So you remember Kayla? Well, yeah. And yeah, I used to bring my GDPR. Who knows if we're GDPR or not? Who knows if in this too it's all very confusing, but we are the UK, we're a bit kind of messed up, you know, that kind of thing. So I've done lots of these events, and they were always great. And from that, this is Kayla here. This was my Frankenstein presentation, my Frankenstein phase. I got kicked off LinkedIn. Good for you. Well done. Power to the people. Has anybody been kicked off LinkedIn here? It was the scariest week of my life. Anybody? I got too popular. There you go. Don't get too popular on LinkedIn, or LinkedIn will kick you off, and then it'll take 2 weeks to respond to anything. People said, do you still exist? I go, yes, but I just don't have a presence on LinkedIn. So watch, you could become Frankenstein's monster. And that's Frankenstein's monster there. Luckily, she's banned in the UK. That's Kayla. And then in Glasgow, in the concert hall, I did Rammstein. I'm sorry. At Census 2018, I think it was, I've never been invited back. Okay, there's a census in Glasgow, I think, in November. I'm not invited, okay? But I did do Rammstein, and I went to Digital Expo 2019, and I stood for 5 minutes, not saying a thing. And I could see Pete and Ray just go, get the hook out. And so we had Kraftwerk on, and we outrun Metropolis. Everybody was going, yeah, come on, cybersecurity is amazing, it's fantastic, we're building an amazing world. And I showed them Metropolis and showed a really dark future world of spying and so on. Okay, so I've not been invited back yet to Digit, but today I've been invited back. So you'll not see me for another 5 years, I wouldn't think. So make the most of it. Okay, that was my viewpoint of this wonderful future that we're looking towards, a Metropolis idea, that we worship the machine. Shh, don't tell it, I was speaking about it. We're worshipping the machine more and more, ChatGPT and all that kind of thing. Okay, so I did have other things there, and I did take the mask off eventually. So I'd like to talk a bit about crypto. Okay, there's Bob and Alice. Bob and Alice are here. Bob and Alice is what we use in security and so on. Okay, don't want to bring you out in a cold sweat, but that's hexadecimal and base 64. That's the currency of our data. Okay, then we have a hash. Okay, anyone like hash here? Like hash? Signatures? Anyone like hash? You at the back there? I think definitely. Is your name Alice? No. What's your name? Amanda. Okay, we'll change Amanda to make AA. There you go. See? That's thanks very much. And so there's a hash. If you've ever seen hash before, there it's there. It's a one-way hash. And there's lots of different types. That should never be seen. That shouldn't really be seen. This is where we're going with hashes. And we can also have any length of hash there. You can have any length of hash that you want. Don't quote me on that one. The first method is really boring, but it's the workhorse. It's symmetric key encryption. You can have a key, okay, and I can have a key, and we wave the key at each other. Wave the key. But we shouldn't let anyone else see us, okay? That's the metric key encryption. How boring is that? But it's great, and it's the workhorse. And then Whitfield Diffie and Marty Hellman came along and came up with an amazing, I come from John Napier's university, so he came up with a discrete log method. I don't want to break you out in a cold sweat, but that's maths, and it's wonderful. It all works because of the wonder of a prime number in there. Basically what happens is that Bob and Alice have a public and a private key. If I can find my keys here. Okay, who's going to be Alice? Alice? Alice, what's your name? Rosalind. Oh, God, that would have been great if you'd been called Alice. So you can have that one. Okay, hide that one. Okay, so I generate for every session my private key, magic, and it becomes a public key. Could I do that? Tap, tap 3 times. That's good. What was your name again, sorry? Alice. Good. She's learning. She's learning. Is Eve in the audience? No? Good. Okay, so there we go. And there we go. Don't give me your private key. Okay, so I do that, and then I do, and you do. That's it. And then we end up with the same shared key, as if but nobody can see that. Okay, I have that key, and she has that key. How wonderful is that? We can share that key. Thank you, Alice. A round of applause for Alice. Did anybody see what I did there? No. Okay, unfortunately, Eve, if Eve's in the audience, gets in the middle. It's bad. Okay, sorry about that, but it didn't quite work for us. That's the reason that we need digital signatures and these horrible digital certificates in there. So now, Alice, we're going to do something different. Okay, you're okay? Are you sure? You know what's going to happen next? No? Okay, does anybody know what's going to happen next? No? Okay, so let's get the keys out again. Okay, there we go. Remember 3 taps? And there's my key. Okay, so everybody understood key exchange? I'm now going to do digital signatures. I need to prove to you that I'm Bob. I'll be Bob for the day. I'm Bill. I don't know if you know that, but I'm Bill. Okay? So who's doing what here? Okay, now Alice, you now need to, we'll just make this a message, okay? We'll take that as a message, okay, that's a message. You now need to tap that message with your private key. 3 times. That's 4. Are you there as a backup? Okay, go again. Okay, it's double encrypted. You've got to decrypt it again, so do it another 3 times. Okay, that's fine. So Alice has now signed that with her... No, you're not listening to this.
I'm trying. I honestly felt that.
You're not seeing the slides, that's the problem. What did Alice sign that with? Her private key, okay? So now I can take this message, okay, thank you. It's struggling there. I can take this message, and what key do I now use to prove Alice's identity? Alice's public key, okay? But do you trust this person sitting beside you? No? Do you? Do you trust this person? I trust this person. Okay, this person tapped it with 3 times. Okay, so he's made that magical now. He's now signed that. I really trust you. Hug. Honestly, you have the most trustworthy face that I've ever seen. Okay, I now have Alice's public key, and it's trusted by, please say your name is Major Man. That's a proper trusted name. That Major Man has now has signed this with their private key. I don't have any keys for you, I'm sorry. And so I can now trust this. I now check that against Alice's public key, and it works, okay? Every time you connect to the internet, it's Alice's public key that you get on this horrible digital signature that you get. Thanks very much, Alice. Okay, so that's the second part of creating a secure internet. We need a digital signature. That's why you have a certificate. And the certificate has only Alice's public key on it. And then we get signatures. Signatures work like this. You sign with the private key and then prove with the public key. So the certificate itself is Major has signed it. Major signs Alice's public key so that Bob can actually trust. Well, in this case, I think it's Bob there. Fundamental. That's what PKI is all about. And we get things like the EDSA, which is the standard signature that you use when you're connecting to the web. So now let's look at Moore's law. Moore's law is amazing. Gordon Moore created Intel, and he perceived that every year or every 18 months we would double the computing power. We would half the size of a transistor. Now they're sub-micron. They're sub-micron. The sizes of the transistors are measured in atoms. We have billions in every single. It is the most used thing, most manufactured thing in the world are transistors. You can take every single thing in the world that's manufactured, and it still wouldn't equal the number of transistors that are created every year. So we've went up, and we're down into sub-nanometer technology. We can't go anymore. You can't keep squeezing the orange and for juice to come out of it. So where are we going to go? We could fall off there. So the next stage could be towards qubits. Okay, I'll be asking questions at the end, so please, there'll be a test on this and a coursework submission next week. I'm not a physicist, so don't ask me any questions on qubits, okay? Qubits are crazy. They exist and they don't exist. They exist in multiple states until you test them. Did you get that? It's called superposition. Bill's in Glasgow. Bill's also in Edinburgh. I can exist in two places at the same time. It's only when you actually test that I'm here can you actually tell that I'm here. Did everybody get that explanation? Good. Very, very physics-like explanation there. So there we go, superposition. I present in Edinburgh, and I present in Glasgow. Superposition says I exist in both states. Not that they're states, they're cities, but I exist. And only when you test can you determine if I'm in Edinburgh or I'm in Glasgow. Okay? Who loves Star Trek here? A few. Who love science fiction? Yeah. It's a science fiction, teleportation. It's been proven that it can happen. In 10 years, you'll be able to teleport yourself back to Edinburgh without all this emissions charge and so on. So that's the basics of it. And it was Peter Shor who came up with a method to crack public key encryption. And it was Love Grosvenor who came up a way to crack hashes and symmetric key. Okay? So all of our crypto is at risk. The good thing is that Grover's algorithm only works up to 128-bit AES and 128-bit hashes. Okay? So if your company is using any of those, deprecate it. 256 is your starting point for hashing and symmetric key because of Grosvenor's algorithm. And then Biden didn't do anything in quantum, but Biden has just signed off that the US is moving to deprecate all public key encryption in governments. End of story. I mean, no argument. You won't get a contract if you don't have post-quantum crypto. If you have AES, then be worried. You won't get a contract in the US. All of the public sector, not just part of it. So we're behind. We're behind, but we will follow, as we always do. So it says that it could jeopardize civilian and military communications, undermine supervisory control systems for critical national infrastructure. Basically, it will destroy the whole trust of the internet. And then it says that we must deprecate all of our existing. So throw out all your textbooks, because you're going to have to get into quantum theory and so on. Everything we've learned about public key encryption could be gone. So NIST, the NSA, who loves NSA? Big cheer for NSA? No? Woohoo! Woo! Woohoo! Is there anybody from the NSA in the audience? No, don't say that. Are you from the NSA? No, good. All of the organizations together are really going hard on this. So this, luckily, NIST has been working on this for a while, and they published the standards for the new methods last year. And then they're really pushing out towards 2030s and so on. Okay, so it basically breaks that. It breaks those three methods. Basically, the strength of RSA depends on the multiplication of two prime numbers. If I can find those two prime numbers, then it's broken. So that's difficult as a problem just now, but in quantum computers, it's not a problem. And the reason for that is, like I'm back at school, isn't it? I take two prime numbers, 11 and 13, and I plot the waves, and guess what? There we go, the number is 143. So if my n value is 143, I just get a couple of waves running. I can do things in parallel in a quantum computer. I get them to be racing themselves, and I measure the point at which the waves cross over, and I've cracked your RSA. It can crack discrete logs and everything. Public key encryption is finished. It'll take a while, but the methods are gone. So the methods that are proposed are lattice cryptography. Do you want me to lecture about lattice cryptography? No. Go away. Run away. Maybe in 5 years I'll come back and talk to you about lattice cryptography. It's really fun and interesting, and I love it. It's polynomials. I hate to bring you out in a cold sweat, taking you back to your school days and so on. But it's based on polynomials, and you do multiplications and so on. There are also isogenies, multivariate, code-based, and hash-based signature methods. Those are the contenders. Like it or not, lattice is the only show in town just now, but NIST worry that it'll get cracked, so they're looking for other methods. So it's lattice that's likely to go ahead just now. So the four that have been standardized are Kyber for key exchange and public key encryption, and dilithium. It sounds like Star Trek, doesn't it? We should kind of take it, Captain. The dilithium crystals just won't work. Falcon, and this is an unfortunate one, Sphinx Plus. You've got to watch how you say that one. Sphinx Plus is a hash-based signature method. Merkle trees and so on. If you've done your cryptography, then fine, you'll know that one. So these three are lattice methods, and this is the only one that isn't. So NIST will approve other ones along the line. I know it's a bit difficult to see that, so I won't go through that. But I did an evaluation of all the contenders, and if you're green, then that's a good thing. Your quite small keys and so on. These ones here, Macalise, is very bad for performance. So that's the reason that Kyber won, because it's actually quite fast and efficient. And it happened with signatures. The method they selected with dilithium. It's a pretty good all-rounder. It can sign, verify, and so on pretty well. So that's the reason that it's been selected as the standard. So the way that we're likely to be doing this is with a hybrid method. Sometime in the future, you'll be downloading a browser from Chrome that will support both Kyber and the existing elliptic curve methods. You won't know it in the background, but it will be a quantum. And it's up to the server to select the quantum method or the non-quantum method. The same thing will happen with our signatures. We'll be moving towards using dilithium and their existing RSA and ECDSA signatures. When it comes to key sizes, it's not too bad. The public key is 800 bytes, and with a normal public key, it's about 32 bytes. So it goes up a little bit. For dilithium, the public key goes up a bit more. You can see here we have very small keys just now, but it's not too bad. It's gone up to about 1,300 bytes and so on. So that means that when you do a hybrid method, together there are 864 bytes in a packet to do a key exchange, as we did before with Alice. And that's okay, because does anybody know the size of a packet? The maximum size? 1024, not quite. 1,500. 1,500 bytes. If you do your Wireshark, it's 1,500 bytes maximum. So it fits in. That's great. no overhead. The problem comes in when you're going to get your digital certificate. If you're going to be using dilithium, it's 2 packets that needs to be sent for the signature and 12 packets for Sphinx Plus. So this is going to have a bit of an overhead here, and it's really not that good. But hopefully they'll find methods to overcome it. So let's look at the good side, and I've not got long to present on this bit. The good side is that you can actually use a quantum computer, go home, get the kids to bed, and get yourself on AWS or Azure and make yourself a quantum computer. Yeah, sounds like Blue Peter. You can go on with a $500 credit and make yourself a quantum computer. They are real computers, and you can use machine learning. We've simulated with machine learning. You get quantum machine learning, so you can use all your methods that you want with a quantum computer. Here are some of the cases that we've looked at. You can do capture, because it does it in parallel. 1 trillion captures, quantum computer, no problem. We'll build all of the captures that are possible, and we'll crack it for you. So it's possible to do these simulations. So if you go on to AWS now, you'll find there are fake ones, and there's real ones. If you want to use an 8-qubit computer from Oxford called Lucy, nice name, then she's there, ready to run a quantum simulation. This is the paper here that we've just published. Well, it's not been peer-reviewed yet, so don't trust it quite. But we've done simulations on botnet detection with a quantum computer. Azure is probably the best just now. If you use Colab, Google Colab, all you do is that you upload your Google Colab with a kind of Python-type code, and it has all the libraries in it to interface to the quantum libraries. And within minutes, you can actually run a quantum simulation. There's the paper that we've done. We've run this, a botnet domain detection on real quantum computers and also on simulated, and we think it's better than the existing methods. Okay, so I'm not finished. Okay, is that okay? Just give me, I've got a Bob and Alice mug. Okay, could you get your phone out now? For one lucky person, we have a Bob and Alice mug. There you go. Look. For one lucky person, a Bob and Alice mug. Okay? So just tell me when you're ready to go, and everyone can play, hopefully. Just let me get started. So let me go to my menti.com and get logged in, and we should be good. I think the first question will be waiting there for you. So go ahead and complete that one. Okay? Never. You pessimist, you. Was that you? Was that you?
No. I'm watching.
Okay. Well, I call that pretty good. I'm in a job for a few years anyway. You're all stuffed, by the way, if that's true. You'll have to replace all your public key encryption. Okay? So for a mug, if everybody's listening, did you listen, Alice? You think you got everything? Good. Right then, we've got 75 people in this. This is pretty serious. And you're only getting a mug, which, we've got 82 now. Right? Okay, you ready? Here we go. If you've been listening. Okay, which is not a public key encryption method? Which is not a public key encryption? RSA, elliptic curve cryptography, AES, or LGAMO? You get more points if you do it faster, but you get no points if you get it wrong. Okay, sorry, I should have said that. Oh, back in the net. Tahir LGAMO is an amazing person. Get your cryptography books out now. Oh, everybody who said Tahir, that said LGAMO. I'm going to get him on the phone just now, actually. And we're going to speak to Tahir. AES is a symmetric key secret key encryption method. Who said RSA? Which presentation were you at? Elliptic curve, okay, I'll get you with the other one. Okay, so Holly, you're back. Well done. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Holly, the Magic Rhino did well there. Abby, Mars, Nicholas, Peds. I'm not going to go there. Okay, so here we go again. So let's go for that one. And which key does Bob use to send encrypted data to Alice? Okay, that's me. Which key would I use to send encrypted data to Alice? Oh, I know it hurts. It's the end of the day. Is it my public key, my private key, Alice's public key, or Alice's private key? Hey, stop debating it. Stop getting ChatGPT out, okay? I know. Okay. Oh, nothing to do with me at all. Okay, it's Alice's public key that I need to take to encrypt it. So, Holly, did you get that one right?
No, sorry,
oh, dear. Okay, so Holly fell off there, but Alan, Nicholas, Jamie, Gab, Mark, M. Yeah, it's good to use a pseudonym, Mark. Holly's doing okay. Who's Alan? Alan, good, well done, Alan. And who's Nicholas? Santa? Is Santa on the audience? Well done, Santa. Great, your time will come. Good, everybody, we've lost 2 people already, so it's fine. It's like being back at school, isn't it? If Bob wants to sign a message, which key does he use? I'm Bob, okay? Can you remember far back, the 5 minutes? Which key would I use to sign my message? My public key, my private key, Alice's public key, or Alice's private key? Oh, you're learning. Okay, that's great. Alan, did you get that one right? Well done, Alan. And Nicholas and Jamie was the fastest there. Holly, well done, Holly. Got that one. Come back. And Mars was the fastest one there. That's really great. So we'll just have a quick look at this one. And which is a proposed method for NIST post-quantum crypto for key exchange? Psych, Kyber, DSIDH, or dilithium? Yes, Withering, this is key exchange. Which one is a key exchange method that you should be implementing in your company? It's Kyber. Did you get that one, Holly? Oh. Oh, you missed the presentation. Oh, that would answer it. Yeah. So that's fine. Still the top 10 doing well. Ted doing well there. It's still Alan way out in the lead. Alan, where was Alan again? Okay. You know, I will be throwing the mug up to you. So anybody in that area, if you could just move to the left, okay? This seems to be the smartest block, I hate to say, over here. This seems to be the most intellectual block. My money's over here. Okay, so let's go again. Nearly there. Which is not a method that's going to be standardized for post-quantum crypto digital signatures? Dilithium, Sphinx Plus, Falcon, or SIDH? I did say it, and I highlighted it. Hopefully, you're listening. Oh, I said dilithium, I said Sphinx Plus, and I said Falcon. SIDH is a key exchange method and not a digital signature method. So Alan's looking good. Is that you, Mark? Are you there? No. Kind of thought.
I'm using my dog to play this.
I'm telling my students what you said. Okay, so Alan, so it's still, the mug's going up there. Jamie, somewhere, hidden. Dragon Knights. There, well done. Yeah, it's okay, you can put your hand up, it's all right. Nearly there. Okay, for Grosvenor's algorithm, which of the following is likely to be unsafe? I mean, please remember this for your company. It's pretty important. 128-bit AES, SHA-256, SHA-256 AES, or SHA-3. Which one should you get rid of in your company in the near future? It could be 1, 2, 3. Yes! Yeah! Woohoo! Who said... who wasn't listening when I said... Okay, let's see, Alan. Alan, you're a bit slower there. Jamie, where's Jamie? No wonder you didn't want to be identified the last time. Where's Jamie? Okay, so we've got Jamie. Dragonite's doing quite well. Abby is in there. Where are you, Mark? What position?
Well done.
No, don't tell me. Tell me.
No,
oh, you know, he's given up. Okay, nearly there. Nearly there. Okay, Shor's algorithm defines what? Shor's algorithm, Peter Shor, RSA private key can be discovered, ASA key can be discovered, a hash can be reversed, or ECC public key can be discovered. Okay, please don't answer the last one. Oh, and 11 people. You can discover the public key, there's no secret about that. So Shor's algorithm cracks RSA private key. It's finished. So Holly's back in the race. You were the fastest, Holly. Well done. Do you know Shor's algorithm?
I do.
Do you want to write it on the board? Okay, good. It's really cool. Honestly, go home and study it. So Alan, we're still looking at this area here for the mug getting thrown. So just watch. But Holly is on the move. Holly is on the move. Watch out, Alan. You're in trouble. Okay, so I'll be throwing it that way, so just watch out that way. Okay, so here we go. And we'll see how we get on. Just a couple more questions, I think. Which is the most common methods used for the creation of a secure tunnel in HTTPS? Okay, what's the most common method that's used in a normal HTTPS connection? There's a key handshake and there's a signature. Okay? Diffie-Hellman does not exist anymore, only in the textbooks. Anything with the DH is cracked, it's finished. Use SSL Labs to assess your website as Holly would use. No Diffie-Hellman. Here and here. DSA, does anybody know what DSA stands for? Not the acronym. DSA? I know it's history. It's a signature method that uses discrete logarithms. The FIPS 186 deprecated it. You're not allowed to use it anymore. Every connection almost that we use is elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman and RSA or ECC type signatures. So did you get that one right? Oh, you're in. You got that one right? Of course you'll get that one right. So a pen tester would know exactly. I've looked at the Wireshark many times to be able to see that. So let's see where Holly is. Oh, Holly's doing well. Alan tripped. Who's the... Oh, he's still top. Who's the magical rhino? Oh, well done. That's it. Okay, good for the magical rhino. So it's Alan, the magical rhino, Dragonite somewhere? No. If you win the mug, you have to identify yourself and Holly. So we're nearly there. Let's see. Last question, okay? This is your big chance. Holly, you need to be fast.
I'm never going to do it.
Okay, you ready? Alan, and what was it? Rhinoceros? Hippopotamus or that, I forget. Okay, so last one, and this is definitely it. Which is the name of the 8-qubit universal gate supercomputer from GPU from Oxford? I did mention it. Was it Mabel, Lucy, Jane, or Arthur? And no ChatGPT, okay? Oh, you were listening. Hey! Did you get that one?
No, but I knew the answer because you said it right at the end. I just went pure speed.
Oh, you went the first one. Both. Did you get that one, Alan?
Very fast, but very incorrect.
All right. So I think it's going to be Alan that's won the mug. So well done. A round of applause for Alan. This is Alan here. If you've got any questions about cryptography, then please It's Holly, Alan, and the rhinoceros thing. I don't know. And Dragonite, wherever they are. Okay? Well, thanks very much. Sorry I took a bit longer, but that's the end of the presentation. Thank you.
There was a suggestion about lunchtime that we were talking about how everybody would be mic'd up for the afternoon. And somebody said, well, Bill, just stand behind the lectern. And everyone who's seen him before went, no, absolutely not. Pointless buying him an exercise bike because he lectures too often. He's just up and down like a fiddler's elbow. Actually, it delights me every time he speaks, and he's going to join us for this panel section now. But please, give him a round of applause again. Bill Buchanan. Thank you. You sit here. Can I also ask Holly to come back up, and Nuala Kilmartin. Where is Nuala? Can I ask, I think, am I right in thinking that everybody's seen Holly speak and everyone's seen Bill speak? Have they already? Right. I don't think the same can be said for you, Nuala. Would you mind just telling us something about yourself? Just a minute or so.
Sure. Hello, I'm Nuala Kilmartin. I'm from Belfast and delighted to get over here today. So I work for Innovate UK, which is part of UK Research and Innovation, and I'm working on the Digital Security by Design Challenge, which basically is a challenge that looks at blocking up to 70% of the vulnerabilities in hardware. So basically we're going back to address a market failure from the 70s to address the security in hardware. And we're doing that with Cambridge University's lead on the Cherry architecture and with ARM Morello board. So we're covered a talk, plenty of information to give you, and it's dsbd.tech if you want to find out a bit more.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Right. Again, we can either do questions through Slido, or we can do questions old school by sticking your hand up and we'll get a microphone to you. Has anybody got a question for any of the panelists? Gentleman right up at the back end there. Perfect, as high as he could be. If you could identify yourself as well.
I'm Gino. I'm just wondering, I'm going to ask something to Bill. You know, they've got the size of the quantum computers are about sort of the size of that desk. I've seen one on YouTube. When will they miniaturize them to laptop size, and more importantly, the cost? Because at the moment, they're about 85,000 US. Can you get that into a reasonable price?
They are. So just let me start. Just now, everybody here can get on a quantum computer tonight. Lucy is the #1 contender, but it only has 8 qubits. So you have a physical quantum computer. As you say, they're very expensive, but you can also create your own quantum algorithm and simulate that. So you can use the qubit concept of superposition and so on straight away. So there's no barrier there. So if companies are looking to test it out, they can already run on the AWS and Azure simulators for that. But you're right, the biggest problem is that the big nations of the world, US, China, and so on, are racing towards building a quantum computer. Why? Not to save peoplekind, but they want to crack encryption. It's a standard thing that they want to break encryption overall. So if there is enough money going into it, then they will be built at scale. As to when you'll have one on your desktop, I have no idea. I know Scotland is a great place, and it's great to hear that Innovate UK are really investing in hardware infrastructure, because I think we lost out in the UK. I remember Livingston and Cumbernauld were world leading for the semiconductor industry. The company I showed there is a Taiwanese company. If that factory goes up, then say goodnight to virtually every electronic device. That's the only, and that's why China wants Taiwan, is to get access to that semiconductor facility. So there's a lot of money going in this, and I don't know if you could. Yeah.
I mean, we're obviously looking at chip vendors, and we're working now with Taiwan, and we're actually heavily involved in the semiconductor UK strategy. So as well as obviously the UK cyber strategy. So we work, and we're very government-led with DCIT and obviously NCSC. And so we have a couple of expert missions out in Taiwan coming up at the moment. And we are looking at not just ARM in terms of the Morello prototype hardware, but also low risk, RISC-V. And obviously working with our Microsoft partners and Google, and you know, heavily with defence through DARPA in the US, as well as obviously trying to get the UK competitive advantage to give the UK kind of the powerhouse that it is. So
it's great. I mean, ARM is one of the greatest technologies, and it's British. It came from. Anybody have a BBC computer? Am I that old?
Can I just say to you, Bill, 95% of real chip manufacturing is in Taiwan, and it's quickly transferring to China. China basically taking a lot of the Taiwanese semiconductor engineers and train them, but they're on a gap of 10. It takes about 9 to 10 years to get a fabrication industrial set up. So approximately, we're talking maybe 20 years' time, China will basically take over, and they won't need Taiwan. But there's nothing happening in the West. The arm manufacturing is done in Texas and in California. They've got three fabrication plants, but they're not working on full capacity.
Can I ask a question of Holly? Is you know, with the possibility of the advent of quantum computing, is it possible to prepare for that?
I mean, it is. So there's people, of course, already working on post-quantum cryptography. So of course, there's a lot of people working out there. But it's funny to pose the question to me, because most of what I'm dealing with is companies struggling with today's fundamentals, let alone preparing for tomorrow. So I can't think of a single time that a company at the end of a security engagement has ever said we're concerned about quantum and its meaning, as in we are planning to build this into our strategy going forward. So I don't think that's ever happened.
But surely to God, somebody must be concerned, Bill. You know, who in the country at the moment is actually saying, we're worried about this?
The NCSC, I mean, GCHQ. So it starts as a seed there, and only from government regulation. The finance industry is likely to be the first one, because we want our money to be protected. And if there's a risk around RSA encryption, then all of our payments. So let's forget about blockchain and cryptocurrency. That's a different world. But the banks use encryption. Every digital certificate that we have for your app has a public key on there. So I think there'll be a migration towards a hybrid system, and you're completely correct. I mean, it's a stick and a carrot. In cybersecurity, the carrot doesn't work. I hate to say it. The stick works, GDPR worked, but privacy aware, because you need to protect your customers, that didn't work at all. So the NCSC will start to be feeding out on the back of Biden to say that if you want a public sector contract, then you must be at least having a migration strategy, or at least have a hybrid system. So I think the government, UK government, the EU will start to push this forward.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just on that as well, looking at things like, so PCI pushing forward data security with PCI DSS. Like, I remember when they were talking about disabling 3DES and disabling RC4, and organizations are trying to hold on to those as long as possible. Early TLS, like, it took years to get through those very fundamental things, which in well-architected systems should be tick the box to turn it off because we have better algorithms out there. ECC, you know, TLS 1.3 is widely supported now. So yeah, I don't think a lot of organizations are maybe further back than people expect them to be, even in the payment industry.
Scary. Any questions from the floor? Gentleman there, please.
Hi, I'm Abby from Sistal. I have a question for Bill. For all the cryptographic protocol that we are using for communication in the present digital world, will perfect forward secrecy still be maintained for them when we move into the post-quantum era?
Good question. So forward, if you've not been to one of our classes, any graduates here? No, Lionel. The forward secrecy is that if I hack your private key now, I can reveal all of your keys from the past. Standard law enforcement attack. If I listen to all your traffic, then if I get one of your keys, then I can use Wireshark easily, probably as you've done many times, to add that to Wireshark, and I can reveal all your encrypted traffic. Is that was the question? Yeah. Yes, every method that your company should be using should be ephemeral and have forward security built into it. If it isn't, then use SSL Labs to do a scan and it will identify for you. All of the post-quantum is already safe from that. There are new properties like homomorphic encryption that comes out the box with this. So if we can go towards these lattice methods, there are a whole lot of other things that we can start to look at to improve encryption overall. So the answer is yes. I'm not a salesman for post-quantum cryptography. It sounds like I am. There is an overhead. It is slower overall, but just a little bit.
If, as we were talking about earlier, Nuala, that essentially the Chinese are trying to run forward with this and to get themselves into a situation where they don't need Taiwan, etc. They'll be able to do it themselves and so on. There's a lot of money in China. Can we afford to put anywhere near the same amount of effort into it?
I mean, we're looking at our international strategy at the moment, and we have to be very careful. Even we're distributing Morello boards out globally, so anybody can apply for a Morello board at the moment to investigate the DSBT technology. However, there could be a Chinese member in a consortium, so we have to be very aware of the tracking and the mechanism behind who's in that consortium. The answer is we need the big boys on board to be our advocates, and we're doing that with other chip vendors like Brazil, who are coming up the semicon. So we're really working with the manufacturers globally, smart procurement, making sure that we have those larger players in the ecosystem who'll back us if we're challenged from a China point of view. But I mean, Australia and India are already aware of where we are. So there's a lot of progress being made in order to prepare for that in the future.
Okay. Question up on Slido, which is, needless to say, just disappeared. Holly, basically, have you ever bumped into a threat actor lurking on the network when pen testing? What did you do?
Oh man, it does happen, and it's quite rare, but every few years it happens. Not specifically with me, I'm not that lucky every time I do a pen test I bump into someone, but obviously running a pen testing team, it does occasionally happen. Specifically to has it ever happened? Yes, it's infrequent, but it does occur. What are our follow-up actions based on that? To begin preparing for the pen, basically. So immediate action from the tester's point of view is we stop all testing. And we're going to contact the customer and say, we have indicators of compromise that suggest this device has been compromised. We start talking to them about two things. The first will be, do you have an incident response plan? Do you remember where it is? How well rehearsed is that? And then secondarily, gathering all of our logs of our activities so that when they start looking through logs to be dealing with this threat, they can effectively extract the activities that were us. So yeah, two sides of things, getting all of our own paperwork in place so that they can discount that, and trying to guide them through that process of, hey, well done, you're now in an incident, and your incident response plan needs to come out.
Would you necessarily know, I don't suppose, maybe it doesn't matter, where that threat physically was coming from, geographically?
No, and we wouldn't look for things like attribution or things like geographic location. The most likely thing that we would come across first is going to be something like a malicious software tool. So if we compromise a web server or something like that, there might be a web shell in place, so a file that we know is malicious. There's a difficulty here, though, because it could, for example, be an internal testing team or a prior pen tester who hasn't cleaned up properly. So we have to balance that with, if I start ringing the alarm bells if you've been hacked and it turns out, oh, actually, that's Bill in the IT team who's just done an ethical hacking course, that's a difficulty. But no, we're not going to be able to go as far as attribution and things like that, because our primary activity is going to be stop all testing and start documenting what we were up to prior.
Bill, your presentation, as ever, was highly entertaining. But the one takeaway for me, other than the plastic keys, was your opening statement: "We are stuffed." Are we stuffed?
Yeah, of course we are. Nobody understands digital certificates. If Microsoft Azure doesn't understand how to renew a certificate, then we're building on sand. Really, PKI itself is flawed. If you want me to debate it, I can.
No, please do.
Are you going to argue? No.
No.
But I mean, you've got the internet was born, ARPANET. Some people got together and wrote some RFCs, requests for comments, hacked things together. There were mainframes then. We didn't even have routers. I don't know what you want to call it. Router. And they created, and it worked. And Ethernet, that worked. It's rubbish. I mean, really, we should stop everything that we've actually done. IP is a terrible protocol. It worked, but my goodness, did it scale? TCP is a disaster. We should be encrypting at source. I mean, why do we even need HTTPS and tunnels? It's a disaster area. You do know that your company can break the encryption tunnel. You do know that smart firewalls, Cloudflare sits and look at all your packets. We can do deep packet inspection and so on. It's a rubbish protocol. And what's the alternative? The evil end-to-end encryption that the UK government is trying to block just now. So I'm opening up a can of worms here. But I mean, really, if we were to start again, I mean, I think the whole everything we do is flawed, and I think that is highlighted. Any pen test will be successful, no matter what company, because all of the protocols, it's such a horrible mess of a rat's nest of different protocols.
Can I add something on that as well, just to kind of link back to what I was mentioning earlier? One of the difficulties sometimes is it's so easy to discount a risk, especially when we present them to organizations. So you mentioned forward secrecy, for example. We very, very commonly bring up lack of forward secrecy within cipher suites as a risk. It's like, hey, you're using these outdated cipher suites, they don't support forward secrecy, you should disable them. And then an organization will say, yeah, but what would an attacker have to do to be able to leverage this? Well, they have to gain access to your private key. Oh, that's never going to happen, we'll never worry about it. So now you're all asking questions about forward secrecy and quantum computing, and I'm like, every pen test in the last 3 months I've said forward secrecy is an issue. So yeah, I love that point about IP. All of the early protocols were built just for a different time, a different system, and many of them are terrible. IP is a fantastic example of that.
So professionally, are you just effectively treading water at the moment? You know,
No.
and until the inevitable happens? No,
it's important to bear in mind that there's two sides to every pen test. One of them is detecting those high impact, high likelihood, high impact risks. So this could be something as basic as member of staff's chosen a weak password that can be addressed very quickly. Everybody's going to agree it's a risk. It gets locked down quickly. And those stuff that we can bring up to the top of the pen test gets actioned quickly. But the thing is, how many organizations out there work through the highs, work through the mediums, and then stop? Or we have this difficulty where there's something very, very important that we want to get across to you, but maybe we're putting it as an informational issue right at the bottom of the pen test because we're talking about something like quantum cryptography, or more likely something like forward secrecy or a TLS issue. So there is a difficulty within pen tests where there's a lot of information that we want to share, but if it's not marked high, nobody reads it.
You know what really scares me about this? I was only half joking about the dog, by the way. Politicians are not like you three. Politicians are like me, you know, and getting me to understand this stuff is phenomenally difficult. So, you know, do they understand it well enough to think, shit, we better do something? They don't. Right, okay.
No. I like the phrase you used there. Actually, what did you just say there?
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
They don't. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. I remember going down and doing a Bob and Alice. I did do Bob and Alice in the House of Commons. I did try to explain it. The only thing that came out of it was that I had my iPad there, and I put in my PIN number, and there's a camera, and my PIN number was on the internet within an hour, actually. Oh, yeah. But I tried to explain that there is no magic wand. You can't have a magic wand for the good guys that breaks discrete logs, and all the good people in the world can use that, and all the bad people. You can't keep anything secret. So politicians don't really have a clue, and it really worries me what we're trying to do with the law enforcement bill just now.
There is a nice question here on Slido saying, could we start again? I mean, you were saying earlier, yeah, this is crap, we wouldn't do this, we wouldn't do this, we wouldn't do this. You know, it's the older sort of, you know, the directions scenario. We say, oh no, you don't want to be starting from here. Could we start again? Could you strip the whole thing down and say, right, okay, we're starting from the beginning?
Yeah, and it's happening now. If you're using Google, you'll probably not be using TCP/IP. You're using a lightweight. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know if you remember your networking. SYNAC, three-way handshake? What a stupid protocol that is. Do you want to speak to me? Yes, I want to speak to you. Okay, let's go. Wow. Are you still there? Yeah, I'm still here. There's a whole lot of packets for you. Are you still there? Oh, yeah, I'm still here. That's a crazy protocol. You agree? So we are migrating. And OpenSSL is a rat's nest of different crypto and so on. Avoid it. Use a really lightweight library that just has the best cryptography in the world, and that's it. It doesn't have MD5 or any crazy hashes and so on. So there is a migration. Google did it. They changed the internet. If we were still relying on Internet Explorer, who uses Internet Explorer here or Edge? No one. Oh, well, one. Good. They had the market, but they didn't force us to go for HTTPS and a digital certificate. Only Google, with the power that they had, said, we're not going to sort of add you to the search list if you don't have HTTP. You'll be marked as unsafe. And within a year, everybody put digital certificates. I remember Edinburgh Council didn't have HTTPS. They only had it when you went to the payment. And you go, and you ask them, and you say, oh, well, we just want to protect the payment. They say, well, you should be protecting the citizen. Just to go to your site, to have all that information. If I'm a scammer and you don't have a certificate on it, then I can fake your site. So, and they go, oh yeah, okay, we'll force. So Google forced the whole industry. And generally, if you look at Amazon, S-boxes, what a disaster area those were. Now, they're not shareable by default. Sorry, you don't. There's a standard.
You're talking to them, not me necessarily.
There's a standard with buckets that you buckets that you can share data. And it's happened in the US elections that databases were put, and they're publicly discoverable. Now AWS doesn't allow you to do that. You can share for a couple of minutes, and that's it. So the cloud providers, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, are dragging the industry. You should be using HSMs for your keys. You should be using secure enclaves and so on. So really, because we've moved to the cloud, now you're using the security practices of Microsoft and AWS, and they're slowly pushing you. So I suppose the cloud is the game changer that changes.
Can I add on that as well? The question being, how can we go about starting again? We did with mobile devices, with Android and iPhone when they were first released. And the security model of mobile devices is fundamentally different to the security model of personal computers, and in many ways a lot better. But the problem is, just because you have a second go at it doesn't mean your second attempt is perfect either. So yeah, there's many improvements that mobile operating systems have over desktop operating systems, but there's still many weaknesses.
Can I just add in, I mean, that's kind of where the UK government have come in to address societal challenges. And with the Challenge Fund, we have gone back to speak to industry to say, what do we need to do here to get back to the start? So that's where we came about to fix the market failure from the 70s of security and hardware that was never addressed before. So it was addressed, but it kind of stopped. So we picked that back up. And that's why you can't continue to patch and put a plaster over it and keep patching. So the whole point of, obviously, that secure by default, secure by design principles, has been lifted. And okay, you're always going to have 30% legacy code, but if we can block up to potentially 70% of the vulnerabilities in hardware, well then that's certainly looking at global societal changes, but it's also a transformational step change in terms of society and trying to get people to understand that they need to be safe online and how to be safe online. So fundamentally, just saying that that's kind of our mission.
Interesting, very interesting. One last question from the gentleman up there.
Hello. Before I ask for a question, it is for Bill. I just thought I'd share if there's any academics here that in industry we actually do something, and we're doing it right now. And so the company I work for, we've demonstrated quantum key distribution over our own fibre network with our partner Toshiba. Within my own team and part of the Telecom Security Act, we are responsible for creating the secure boot of all our devices for our entire mobile network. And within my own team, recently for a financial services sector client, we demonstrated quantum-safe encrypted VPNs from disparate sites, which is still quite rare. We did that with our partners, Fortinet and Arcit. It's not to suggest that it's perfect, but you can't sit around waiting for something magical to happen. So my question is, though, what fascinates me, maybe because we're in the, this AI era, but you mentioned, Bill, using the platforms, maybe the cloud platforms and the simulators for quantum computing algorithms. So my thought was then, what would stop us from establishing secure, distributed quantum-based power? Because to try and miniaturize it, as our colleague was saying earlier, is not easy, it's not cheap, but surely there could be another way to do it.
Yeah, and there's nothing to stop you from using machine learning on quantum algorithms. The paper that I flashed up earlier, we used a neural network on a quantum computer, and we think we got better results. What was the final part of the question? Sorry, I missed the last little bit.
It was the use of a platform, to
platform.
simulate a quantum computer using a good algorithm.
Oh, okay. So the platforms are Azure and AWS just now. It's free. There's about $500 credit, and I'm sure if you asked AWS and Azure and Microsoft, they would give you, especially for a great innovative company, they are giving out credit for free. So it's a good opportunity to try. And you can use a hardware. Lucy, for example, is a real quantum computer. There are some universities, I think in the UK, that have physical things. My advice is to try out the quantum computers on the cloud providers, and if you think there's something in it, you maybe contact one of the universities in the UK and maybe partner with them. And I think the magic is to bring the physicists. Remember when electronics started? The first people that got into electronics were physicists. The first people who got into computer science were mathematicians and physicists and electronic engineers and so on. So I think the opportunity is to really bring together teams of people that understand the physics of building quantum circuits. And I would hope that Scotland and Northern Ireland would become a world leader, because we have the universities and the companies, and I mean, we are so lucky in this country, sorry. We have some of the best cities in the world. Edinburgh is, of course, the best city in the world. Obviously.
Top two.
Right, top two. We have a small country, but we have Scottish enterprise. I mean, really, any of the league tables that you'll look at for innovation, Scotland punches above its weight like nothing else. We can take a spin out and we can get Scottish enterprise money. You ask companies in Northern Ireland or in London whether universities have got that opportunity, and it's not likely. And we have data labs, we have census, we have all the dots in place. And I think what we need is a push, like not to sit back on what we do just now, but to really push ourselves forward, because we should be attracting people from across the world. I don't want to get political or anything like that, but we should really be attracting the best talent, because the countries that will be successful in the future will be attracting those people. So Scotland needs to get the people here that can build these. I'm
just saying, obviously now with Horizon Europe, you know, the opportunities exist with the collaboration. So not just obviously Innovate UK funding and, you know, the opportunities that arise, but just trying to encourage more and more organisations to come forward, you know, and to look at those multi-collaboration opportunities and beyond Horizon Europe.
I think that's a very good, positive point to end on. Can I ask you to thank our three panellists one more time, please? Thank you.